Give it a little buffer right here. There we go. That should be good. That should work.
Rock and roll.
All right, we're rocking and rolling now. Okay. Welcome to the next Drive 2 with Yosh.
What up?
My longest standing teammate and buddy, and Maddie, the youngest and newest standing teammate and buddy. Yep. So, just so the two of you guys know, and Yosh, because you don't have any social media or any kind of time to watch YouTube videos. Last weekend I had Tyler, excuse me, Tyler and Blake, and we just talked about just kind of some paintball stuff, the layout, because everybody likes to hear about that. But
love talking about the layout.
Yeah. And just kind of what we're doing, what our plans are, and just, I guess, kind of anything random in between.
All right.
Cool. On the drive to practice. So a lot of people from after the last video, the first video I released on Wednesday, something like that, wanted to hear from you. So you're the star. Yeah, old wise man Yoshi, the star of the show. Right. So just I guess the big thing with one of the questions that a lot of people asked was just how you and I got started. Like how long have we been playing together? What's the history, I guess?
All right. Well, there's certainly a lot of history. I mean, I guess we started when we were in junior high.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate enough to have each of us had a paintball field in our backyards. Paintball fields were quite a bit different then. Mm-hmm. I guess that was 30 years ago? No, 20 years ago, something like that.
What year did you guys start playing?
So it had to have been like 96?
Yeah, 95 or 96.
I was born in 1997, just so you guys are all aware of this
there you go.
insanity.
Explains a lot. But yeah, so we started playing with a bunch of our friends from school, and Ryan's mom actually was really helpful in like making sure that we had our CO2 tanks filled. And
CO2, mind you, that was CO2.
Had a bunch of different gun setups, and whenever we were short on having paintball guns for friends, we would just like load them up with tennis balls and a trash can lid or a Ziploc bag full of water. And, we just got creative with it. I mean, it was, we weren't shooting that much paint back then, and the field was pretty small, and just having fun. And we were playing as much as we could. I mean, I feel like...
We almost played, like, every day.
I feel like we would go and play every day. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, like, and back then, like, we were usually using pump guns, but you had...
I had a VM68. Yeah, so that was definitely the big dog gun. Rate of fire on the VM68 was probably 4 or 5 balls a second.
Yeah, but it was
pretty
tight.
solid.
That was fast back then.
Yeah, it was really fast. But yeah, we just had a ton of fun with friends from school, and then eventually ended up getting a job at a local paintball shop called Pacific Paintball, and that way we were able to fund our habit. And we got a few more friends from school involved and started our first paintball team, the A team, and that's kind of right around the time that we met Alex and Oliver and Angel and Eric Crandall at Maryland paintball games.
Yeah, well, we had met Eric Crandall a little earlier before that because he was the manager at the paintball field that we'd always go to.
Right.
And once we got a job at Pacific Paintball, we were the hot shit because we got free entry into the.
We were definitely part of the cool kids group.
Yeah.
We would show up. We would kind of roll around in the back of the van on the way to the paintball field and show up with the other resident pros like Billy Wing and Eric Roberts and some of the Out of Control guys. So definitely part of the cool kids group and had some cool gear at that point. We were underage, so we weren't really technically able to work. So we just worked for store credit.
Yeah, well, so that's actually a good point because that's something that I get asked a lot. Like a lot of people ask kind of like, well, they don't really ask how we made money. More they say that they don't have any money and can they get stuff for free, or I can't afford it. There's more not what I can do to solve the problem or how did you solve the problem. It's more like I just can't do this. And I get a lot of those messages out there, and I don't jokingly say mowed lawns because I know I mowed lawns.
I was just about to say that. That's funny, yeah, because I mean we did anything we could to make it work. You know, we were fortunate enough to get a job at a paintball shop so that we could stay within our passion, but we did other things too. You know, like we ran the burger stand.
Yeah, the hot dog and hamburger stand at the field. But even
sold hamburgers and hot dogs, and you know, did chores around the house. I mean, anything to scrape together enough cash.
Right?
Yeah,
and buy paint.
Yeah,
get
just
air fills.
so it's totally clear too. Like an air fill was $3. Every time that you had to fill your 20-ounce CO2, it was $3 or $4.50. $4.50. Then paintballs back then came in bags or boxes at 2,500, but they were
about
also
$100.
$100.
Yeah.
Like you could get a deal at $90, and Yosh and I were working for store credit, but store credit didn't mean that we even really got a discount at the store. Right. You know, like we were getting paid $5 an hour in store credit only. Right. $5 an hour in store credit only, and we had to pay pretty much full retail. Like I remember,
we might work like 10 hours and split a case of paint between the two of us.
Split a case of paint,
but make it work. You know,
split a half a case of paint.
And right, but I mean, it was just anything you could do to fund your habit. And you know, like if we were short on money and didn't have enough paint, we would go to the paintball field and see if Eric had any work for us. We would ref there. Yeah. You know, you'd ref for a full day and earn half a case of paint.
Yeah, that was the pay also. So just think about this also as everybody is haggling over the fact that a case of paint costs $40, $20, $60. We would ref a full day at the paintball field, and our pay in the beginning was a half a case of paintballs, which was 1,250 paintballs. Yeah. So that way we could play the next day. Like, again,
I mean, you know, paintball isn't these days. I'm not going to say that it's inexpensive, but it's a lot more accessible to people these days than it was when we started playing, just because of the cost and because of the availability. You know, like you can have any of the products available online at your fingertips. You can get good prices on paint. The fields are busier. There's generally more people to play with.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of advantages now starting out. And, you know, I think people just have to realize that, you know, you have to put in the work. And the work isn't just, you know, the work on the paintball field. It's all the stuff during the week to make sure that you can get to practice, have your equipment ready, and, you know, be able to compete and be a part of the team. I mean, everyone has to do their share when they're not at the paintball field too.
Right. And actually, that's a perfect point to leave on right now as we jump into Whole Foods. I know last weekend we went to Sprouts, so I'm pretty stoked today.
Upgrade. Yeah,
huge upgrade. But we're going to stop right there, and Maddie's going to pick that part up because I know that he's been grinding quite a bit. So stay tuned to the next bit. Yep. Blake, would you say this is better than Sprouts last weekend?
100%.
Look at that.
Creme brulee.
Creme brulee French toast. My goodness. My goodness.
It's not for me.
Yeah.
Got a
Tyler
little
went a little bit.
in there.
Yeah. Look at poor gluten boy over there. He can't eat any of this good stuff. So as you can see, just right off the break, this is so much better. Oh, someone loaded up with some cookies right here. I go straight to the cookie section because I don't know if you noticed, but it's raining outside. And playing in the rain makes me a little sad. But if I get some of these little oatmeal cookie bites, maybe, just maybe, it'll put a smile on my face today as I'm sloshing around in the rain, slipping, missing shots, possibly crying. So we're gonna probably just try one of these right now. That made me happier. Now I'll get some substantial breakfast. Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
I got one.
Get one.
You want to go and enable Lauren?
Because it looks like because that looks like the inside of your disgusting belly button. Yeah.
Potato, artichoke, egg quiche type thing. Or I don't know what they call this. It's okay though.
With extra salt.
And some sausages, and then I doused everything in way too much salt. And then I tried to counteract the salt by dousing everything in way too much hot sauce. So this is what I got. But I also got some sushi, so.
The only breakfast item that I got was this creme brulee French toast, but I didn't want to waste too many things. So as you can see, it's got some quinoa and cheese melted on it because that's my lunch. And a piece of arugula.
Custom.
Mm-hmm. Whoop. But I feel like it's going to leave a nice little sweet patch right there for the rest of my lunch later. Actually, last week, we also talked about diets. We're not going to get too much into it.
I was going to say I could go on for days about diets.
I guess you can talk about your diet because yours is more. Yours is health related. You have to do it.
Correct.
We were discussing a tiny bit about veganism.
Yep.
Oh, wow, you guys really did get off in the weeds.
Yeah. Well, we didn't really have a plan when we got in the car last time. I just stuck the camera up there and started talking. So, but anyway, we won't get off topic again just yet. We'll go.
I mean, is veganism really off topic?
No, but we talked about it last time, so I might get your guys' opinions on it. Maddie is gluten-free.
Celiac, actually.
Yeah.
So I have to eat gluten-free.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the same thing, but yeah, celiac
That's true.
is a autoimmune disease which makes my body not like gluten. So.
Right.
No bread, rye, barley for me.
Okay.
That's beer, bread, anything.
No pizza?
No pizza.
No sandwiches?
No sandwiches.
Oh, well, unless it's gluten-free bread.
Unless it's gluten-free bread.
Yeah.
No cookies?
No cookies.
No cookies. Those are the best. No creme brulee French toast.
Nope.
Man.
No beer?
No beer.
Man. Boring.
Boring.
But actually, that's funny too because this is something we touched on last weekend. Is like, well, it's not funny. It sucks for you, but funny topic that to bring up because we were talking about the people who go on diets because they need to versus the people who do it kind of as a fad.
Yeah.
Right. And like the gluten-free diet, definitely there are people that are super affected by it.
Oh yeah.
But then there's people who are like, ooh, gluten-free, that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
There's like people that are really gonna could die over this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know if you can die of gluten.
Well, eventually, yeah, you can die because you can get stomach cancer.
Okay.
So the
Long-term, slow death.
Yeah, long-term. Yeah.
Gluten, the slow killer.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So, let's go. Let's get back onto that bit what we were talking about as far as like kind of working hard for practice and like getting to where you need to be because Matt is a great example of basically kind of what we did earlier because you pretty much have been you worked in Australia. I'll just kind of give a little summary, and then that ended up translating into you like working super hard to be able to pay for a weekend in Sydney or a weekend and then a weekend in Europe with the Expendables,
right?
And with very little outside influence and outside help aside from you busting your ass during
for sure
times you're not playing. So go ahead and take it from there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, touching back on the whole point that you guys just find a way to make it work. You know, if you set your priorities in the right way and you set your goals, what you're trying to achieve, and what you really desire, and you're willing to work for it. You know, so you set a plan up, how you want to do it, what you're going to do. I mean, anything's possible, really. And yeah, I mean, it's prioritizing a night out with friends or staying home, saving money, eating fast food, or bulk cooking food at home, so you can have food for the week, but you're spending the same price that you would at that one fast food meal.
Right.
So, I mean, again, it's the priorities. How are you spending your time? How are you spending your money? And what are you willing to work for? And where do you see yourself going? And that's really it.
Now, just kind of explain just briefly the road to get to kind of like where were you 2 years ago? Where were you 5 years ago?
Where was that 5 years ago? Okay.
5 years ago? I don't know, but you just been born?
I mean, I can do a quick brief story of the whole...
That's the one we want.
Okay.
Maybe not 5 years ago.
Maybe not.
Yeah, let's go 3 years ago.
I just wasn't sure when I met you.
Yeah. So before I got on the Expendables, all I know is I wanted to play a lot of paintball. My friend Marley, he got me a gig over in Sydney with the Team Explicit, So I went over there for 2 rounds, and then that's where I met Blake Yarber. You know, this whole time I'm working at a grocery store trying to fund this whole habit, as Yosh described. And yeah, I mean, you meet the right people, you put yourself in the right place, and I, you know, emphasize that, put yourself in the right place. You know, if you want to be around these guys, you have to be around them. You have to be willing to be at the events they're going to be at, go to the clinics, you know, interact with the guys as well. There's a, you know, that's a huge part of it. If you're showing up to the clinic and you're kicking ass but you're not talking to these guys, you know, you're missing out on a huge part of the whole grand scheme of things. So, you know, in the whole process of coming up, I think I just placed myself in the right position, was talking to the right people, and I mean, I got a little bit lucky as well, I'd say.
Right. You know, and one thing that impressed me about you, which is there's only been one other person, maybe 2 people in the history of the last 20 years of me teaching clinics that have ever taken notes and like looked over the notes.
Yeah.
And then
applied it, right? You know,
Right.
so I've mentioned this to like individual players before. I mentioned it to teams, all this stuff, because a lot of people, you know, and sometimes like people find it like maybe a little bit embarrassing that they have to take notes or whatnot.
Right.
But there's a player in Colorado on Colorado Blitz. I forget his name off the top of my head, but he came to one of my clinics at Pendleton. He was like, "Do you mind if I take notes?" I was like, "No, please," because there's a lot of stuff that everybody takes in at clinics and at events and playing with each other that you can, it just goes in one ear and out the other, or they're trying to retain all the knowledge, but we brush over stuff pretty quickly, but to try to in an attempt to like pack as much information as possible.
Right. I mean, as much as it's intended to be a classroom, there's still a lot of other stuff going on,
right,
and people's minds are racing because they're
excited.
They're excited. They're in a high pressure situation. They're around,
Absolutely,
you know, people that they're excited to be around.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of information. So, I mean, getting as much as you can out of that day or out of that weekend is so important.
absolutely.
And if it means, you know, taking notes so you can think about it later,
Right.
I mean, that's a huge part of the process. And I can speak for myself when I say that even though I'm not necessarily in the note-taking stage, we still do a lot on paper.
Yeah,
sure.
And, you know, I've basically, over almost 20 years of playing, I've gotten my mind to the point where I am also still processing stuff all the time. You know, things that happen throughout the weekend,
Yeah.
I'm processing as I'm in the shower or driving to work or, you know, laying in bed, can't sleep or whatever, you know, like I have those moments. And so if you haven't had all that time to, you know, train yourself to process that without notes, then do what's necessary. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, and I mean, just think about when you go to school, you got to take notes because there's a lot of information and you will be tested.
And you want to be able to study.
Yeah, and one point of time in your career, whether it's whether you're a back corner Dorito guy or back center guy, you still need to know what's going to happen in the snake. You know,
Right.
you might be tested on it
For sure.
sometime, and you want to be as prepared as possible. So that's actually a really good point. Like, you know, it's I think an important aspect, and I wish more people took notes.
For sure. And I think it really comes down to, like Yosh said, the understanding the knowledge and knowing how to absorb it. So, you know, if you're just starting out in paintball and you don't know the terminology, these are things you're going to have to learn if you want to progress. And if you can't absorb all the information at once in a conversation, then you need that notebook there to help remind you kind of the things that were said. And you know, again, it's in one ear out the other because there's so much information. But you know, kind of as you get up in the levels and you're willing to, or you're able to have these conversations, you can retain that information a lot better. And I mean, I still write notes, but
Sure.
maybe not in the way that I started writing notes. You know, it's more mental notes at this point, trying to, you know, remember everything that we've been doing.
And that also brings up something else that's been interesting for me to hear from, you know, people that sit in on our team meetings or attend a practice that aren't typically in like the dynasty environment, or maybe they spend time with us at tournaments and we're, you know, the team is just talking shop. But people say that when we're really into a conversation about the tournament or the field or the game plan, that we're basically talking a different language, you
100%.
know? And it's not that we're talking in code, but we do use a lot of names for things that, you know, don't have an easy to understand connotation. And so, you know, getting that down on paper so you can wrap your head around it and try to understand it later is an important thing. And then eventually, you know, like I see other teams that I've been around, whether it's clinics or just observing them at tournaments, and they start to develop their own language. And I think that's an important thing. It's an important thing for teams and players to do so that, you know, they can communicate well about game planning and about what they want to do on the field. And it takes time to develop that. So, and it takes organization as well. I mean, we still, you know, this is pretty elementary, but we still write down all the bunker names on a map, even though we all know basically what they're going to be. You know, there might be 1 or 2 bunkers on a field that are in question, but we still write those names down when we get a field in front of us, just to go through the exercise, you know, and to make sure that we're organized and that what I'm talking about makes sense to you, because you know all the specifics of it, and what you're talking about makes sense to Maddie.
Sure. Yeah, so that's, I think, a lot of great information for younger guys and everybody who's just kind of feels a little stagnant or wants to kind of maybe get a boost up to the next level, is just kind of study the back end, a lot of that, and get prepared a little bit more. Let's pivot a little bit into kind of what, Yosh, what you're doing, what you and I are doing, what I guess you're more involved in as far as like the Field 1 stuff, the barrel, the possibility of a new gun.
Yeah, I mean, kind of hard to say where to start, you know, but a couple of years ago we spoke with Bob Long about
the legend.
You know, yeah, the legendary Bob Long, about
wait, hold on. That's these guys, right? Am I just following someone else?
No, that looks like them. I don't know how they got in front of us, because they were still eating in Whole Foods when we left.
Oh,
so.
shit.
You're going the right way, though.
Let's just double check.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, we had the idea. Basically, Eric Crandall, Alex Fragi.
Oh yeah,
it's them.
We're following you guys.
Ryan and I wanted to get into paintball gun design and manufacturing, and we thought that we had a ton of experience, you know, using the equipment, and we thought we could use that experience to have some really good input on how stuff could be designed and made. You know, there's been a lot of speed bumps and a lot of realizations that how things are made and how things are designed, and then ultimately how they're used. There's a lot of different area there, you know, and it's been a big learning process. But ultimately, we took over Bob Long's company. He was still extremely interested in the design aspect of paintball markers, as he's always been. But, you know, with his family and other things that he wanted to do, I think he was ready to kind of let go of the business side of things. And obviously, there was a unique situation there with our relationship with Bob, and the timing of everything. We wanted to get into the business, and he kind of wanted to get out of the business. And, you know, we were able to take a lot of the designs that he had and start learning about the process. You know, the design element, the production element, and so we kind of jumped in, and here we are a couple years later. We've got a newly designed barrel system called the AccuLock. It's a really great design, super functional. Got different bore sizes, so you can, you know, adjust your bore size to your paint, which is a really critical thing for high performance stuff.
It's also just something new. It's something new that has improved upon what everybody else is accustomed to, right?
Right.
You know,
there's a lot of barrel systems out there that shoot pretty well and go together pretty well, and we really thought that there was room to improve.
Right.
And, you know, obviously, quality in how you make something is a huge factor, because we're talking about a precision part. But also, you know, the design, and, you know, for example, the AccuLock system has a patented design in how the control bore meets the tip, so you get absolutely straight alignment every time. And then we also designed a locking feature, so the whole barrel locks together, so you don't have the risk of dropping an insert out or missing an insert. And we wanted to make the whole system really durable. So we were able to, you know, work with some really smart people and and pool our ideas together, and we came up with a system that we really love, and we're just getting it out there, and we've been getting a ton of great feedback about it. And I think it's just the whole process was really fun, because we were able to get something from an idea in our minds onto paper, and then ultimately samples and prototypes get made. You make your little tweaks here and there, figure out if something isn't just right, and then make that change, and then ultimately you come out with a finished product. And to see such a good response has been super rewarding and really exciting. And it's something as simple as a barrel, but in our world it wasn't really simple at all. And that was one of the things we learned.
Yeah.
Nothing in production is all that simple.
Right. So with that said,
the gun.
Yeah.
Oh, people are wondering about the gun.
Yeah, because
yeah, we have been working on a gun. I mean, it's been a couple of years now. We've had opportunities to test some of the different systems of the gun. Most people that understand paintball guns understand that there's the electronic system, which includes the power for the gun and the eye system, solenoid, and then there's the regulator and the engine, and there's other components as well, but those are the three main things, and then how it all ties together.
Right. Well, that's an important part, is we've been able to test that stuff.
Right. So
because you don't want to, we've had opportunities also to come out with something or rush something that wasn't entirely up to our standards.
Right.
I think that,
right. I mean, and that's been a huge part of the learning process too. Is ultimately you get the design right, you feel like you have production right, and then you still need to go through
rigorous testing.
Testing, and then quality control to make sure everything is right, because things can change along the way. And that's been a huge part of the learning curve as well, is just getting dialed in with quality control, getting dialed in with the timing of a release and production. But we've been fortunate with the new gun design to be able to test the individual systems, and now we're at an exciting time where we actually have a working prototype that we're shooting out at the field and using in practice. And the plan going forward obviously will be to hammer that out and get more prototypes in the hands of the team guys. That's also a huge advantage, being able to get feedback from the team, because I feel like, not just Dynasty guys, but pro paintball players in general put their equipment through pretty tough testing, every weekend and throughout the season. And I just for fun, we've gone over how much paint we actually shoot, and it's a crazy amount. I mean, we're really fortunate to have great sponsors, but people probably don't realize that we're shooting 250 to 300 cases a year each player. It's a crazy amount to think about, because
and we're not even at the top of the food chain as far as budgets and paint.
Right.
Aftermath had almost 50% more paint than we did last weekend.
Right. And so there's we realize that there are players and teams grinding it out, and they need equipment that's going to be able to keep up with that. So we're really excited to be in that phase of testing, where now we're testing durability and performance, and we got the whole system together, and we can start making those tweaks and small changes in design, and hopefully have something out here pretty soon.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm pumped on it.
I'm super pumped.
Yeah. Obviously, it's been a culmination of a lot of things coming. So it shoots great already, and it's not even finished.
Right. And the reality is, I actually didn't even expect to have a result as good as what we've gotten so far, and I think that's great. But we really want to focus on hammering it out to a point where, we want to get it to a point where it's flawless, before we get it out. So we're going to keep pursuing that. However realistic that is, I don't know, but we're going to keep pursuing that. And we've had a lot of help from a lot of great people out there with good engineering minds and good paintball minds, and it's an exciting time.
Cool. All right, now off of the paintball topic for just a minute, we'll get into kind of events and things that we're going to be moving forward to. So what would be your top 3 favorite Netflix? Do you watch Netflix or Amazon? You watch Amazon too.
Both.
Do you have cable? at all?
Yeah, we do have cable,
Okay.
but I think it's mostly bullshit.
Yeah, I have
Ready to-
cable.
I'm
I feel
ready to cut
exactly
the cord.
same thing. Yeah, me too. We were actually joking about our cable situation because we don't know how much we pay because my fiance Camille has it in her name and she has yet to charge Kyle and I. So she's just letting the bills stack up.
Oh.
She's paying the bills.
I know how much I pay, and you guys are in for a rude awakening here pretty soon, I think.
It's been about 5 months, 6 months.
Yeah.
So she's gonna hit us pretty hard, I think.
Yep.
So we're stoked on that, babe. If you ever watch this, I'm sure she won't even watch this. There's no chance she's gonna watch this. But babe, if you are watching this, please can you let us know how much we ask her all the time. Anyway, so what would be your top 2 or 3 favorite Netflix shows? And then I guess if you do the Amazon and the Amazon.
Start it up.
Matt
right?
doesn't even watch TV, do you?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, the one on Netflix I can think of is Mindhunter.
Mindhunter.
Yeah. I like that one.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
All right.
Mindhunter was pretty good, and I think
Season
there's
2 is coming out pretty quick.
Yeah, I think there's a new season coming pretty soon that should be pretty good too.
So it's a bunch of individual, like it's a bunch of episodes.
Yeah.
It is. It's a series.
9 or 10 episodes.
The series
Something
Mindhunter. I mean, to paraphrase, it basically is a series that focuses on when the FBI started the psychological profiling of a serial killer. So they moved from just looking at, the behavior of a serial killer and like what happened, the investigative things that surround the specific crime, to actually trying to get into the mind of a serial killer and developing a psychological profile so that they could potentially start to understand how a serial killer's mind works, which would then, hopefully lead to some preventable measures. But really interesting. I mean, I think it's loosely based on the truth around when that happened with the FBI, but it's written and dramatized in a way that's highly entertaining as well.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So it's not documentary style, but an interesting subject matter.
All right, what else you got?
Well, I mean, I did just finish up the 3rd season of True Detective. Obviously, it seems that in this vehicle, we love crime stuff and serial killer stuff. That's not totally true.
So
True Detective was really
and that's
good.
HBO. So wait, hold on. So I'm pissed. I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
I haven't seen. I love True Detective. The first one was the best one. The second one was obviously the second one. So
And you did watch the 3rd one already?
No, because my HBO on demand
bummer.
starts True Detective on episode 2.
Yeah, you can't do
I
that.
feel like I need to watch episode 1.
You can't do that. You got to find a way to watch episode 1 for sure.
And then I can get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't start a book on the 2nd chapter.
Right.
That would be a bummer.
The long book you probably could get the gist. No. I feel like an hour, 1/8 of the
character
1/8 of the series. You're just smoking it.
Yeah, especially something that's so detailed.
Yeah. So,
character development.
I almost started it. And as a matter of fact, because
I don't
the
know how
season
you're going to get around that.
the season finale is going on, and I always see it on when I'm scrolling. And it's like already 15 minutes into the final episode.
So that's on HBO on demand. But is there a way you can access it through
The internet.
Well,
pirating it?
Of course,
Stealing it?
there is, but that's not what I was going to say because that's
Stealing
illegal.
it online. Yeah.
That's illegal, so I would never suggest that. I was thinking maybe sometimes those series get picked up by another streaming provider.
Oh, like the pirating streams.
No, not pirates. Pirates are illegal.
Okay.
Anyway, the next show that I like, I did just finish The Romanovs, which was pretty interesting. I mean, it's a bunch of basically one-off storylines. It's a series on Prime. It's not incredibly exciting, but it is thought-provoking. I mean, I guess I would put it into the classification of drama rather than like action or thriller. Mm-hmm. But well-written, good actors, and interesting storylines throughout. And you can jump into any episode.
Oh, that's good.
And you don't have to worry. So if they take off episode 1, you're still golden.
And that's also good if you have a fiance or a wife who can't stay awake through a single episode of anything.
I've heard that some people's fiancés or wives might fall asleep within the first 5 minutes of
Not gonna name names.
of watching a show.
And then insist on starting
in that situation probably might hypothetically cause a little bit of frustration because then the husband in that situation would never be able to get through a show in any reasonable amount of time. without rewatching everything like 50 times just to get through, hypothetically, a season. I just heard of that, but
Yeah.
I could see how that would be frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah. I just actually, I just pushed through it. And then
just move on.
Yeah.
Push through it and move on.
I get to episode 3 or something like that in a night while, my lovely fiance had passed out.
And then just start on episode 4 the next night.
Yeah. And then she goes, I don't remember this part. I go, no, you saw it. We were talking about it. And then I kind of remind her of a couple things, and then she's not going to be watching this, so she won't know my tricks. But she seems to buy it.
It's out there now.
She seems to buy into it. She's like, oh, yeah, no, I think I remember that. And I'm like, babe, remember we talked about it? You're kind of dozing in and out, I think.
Well, I'm fortunate enough to not be in that situation.
Oh, okay.
But if I was, maybe I would deploy that strategy in the future.
Yeah, you should try it out. Try it out on, like, at least...
Well, if I needed to, I would, but I...
Oh, yeah. No, if that were to happen. Right. So, yeah. So we got Vegas coming up here in less than a week. We're headed out to play Houston Heat right now.
At Velocity Paintball
Park. We've had a little string of bad weather last weekend leading up to the
Come to sunny San Diego, they said.
Yeah, come to sunny San Diego, they said. California's been getting hammered.
Yeah.
I guess you can't complain too much.
Yeah, I mean we're on nice AstroTurf.
Yeah, for sure.
And the field drains pretty well. I mean, unless it's like actively raining or rained the night before, then there's a little bit of standing water. But
only in the corners, really.
Yeah, the facility's pretty nice.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have a private field again where we can really get a lot of work done. And I know that's a big thing for bringing other pro teams in to practice also. They want to be as productive as they can be. So this is a great opportunity that Velocity Paintball Park has given us to, have a private field, still, work in some of the local teams when there's time, and, kind of have a shared experience there. It's been good.
Yeah. No, that's a cool part about it is a shared experience. At Pendleton we were a little bit more easily accessible because there were four fields going on at the same time. This is much more intimate in the sense that there's only one field and it's pretty private, but there can be up to two other teams in the rotation. And last weekend we jumped in and played a couple points at the very end of Sunday with a couple of the local teams out here. They were stoked. So that's fun. We'll see if that's going to happen this weekend. Maybe we'll grab a couple points against one of the local teams just to kind of help them out a little bit. But yeah, Vegas, we're flying out Thursday morning, practice on Thursday afternoon, event Friday, Saturday, and then fly home Sunday night. So it's a quick trip to Vegas. Under no circumstances, regardless of win, lose, or draw, am I staying on Sunday night.
We all know what happened last time.
Yeah, last time I ended up with a baby 9 months later. Which was great. Is great. Oh, yeah. No, it was great then, that night also. But it is great. I'm stoked on it. I'm not staying because of that, but I think that was a great decision. But Vegas just is expensive. Whether it's a future investment in a child.
Time in Vegas, while we're there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm excited for the event. Always the first event of the year. There's always a lot of people trying to figure out what teams are going to stay strong, what teams are going to fall off, what teams are going to be the next team up that's going to be consistently there on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
And the first event, I think, really sets the tone, and it establishes the brackets, which is, something that a lot of people don't understand how important that can be. But, if you don't perform well at the first event, then you have a hard road for the rest of the season, year, because you end up in a lower tier than you probably should have been, and you have to battle some tougher teams.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's also going to be cool because there's been a lot of off-season pickups and moves and all that stuff. So we're going to be excited to see all that stuff. We'll save how the layout plays and stuff. We won't talk about that right now. But let's go into another fun topic. what has been your favorite venue to play at anywhere in the world? And then where's your favorite vacation spot? Like if you could go, obviously I'm not going to say, all right, if you're not, like instead of going to practice, where would you rather be? Because obviously everybody would rather be playing
Always.
at practice in the rain right now. So I'm not going to have to make you lie about that. So Yosh, do you have a favorite venue and a favorite vacation spot?
I mean, as far as the venue goes, I've always loved our practice facilities, but as far as the tournaments are concerned, Huntington Beach was always a fun one. I actually did not play directly on the sand. I just observed that first event and watched Dynasty win on the sand. But when they laid the turf out, the atmosphere was really great there.
Yeah.
It would be great to see an event go back to Huntington Beach, even though I know there's some logistical and financial issues there. It would be great to see paintball back there again, just because the venue's great. There's a lot of exposure, and I know it's exciting for the teams and the players to go there as well. It's Southern California. It's generally really great weather, except for today. But yeah, it's an awesome venue. I also felt like the parking lot outside of Petco Park in San Diego was great.
That was cool.
Again, just because it's Southern California, there's a lot to do. The weather is generally good, and I have no issue with AstroTurf laid on asphalt or concrete as long as it's laid well, and it creates a really clean playing surface, and it's fun to play in Southern California.
Okay. Vacation.
I mean,
Pack your bags.
Yeah, I love being out there, kind of being in nature and being alone. So, I mean, anytime I have an opportunity to go to the Sierras and either just go camping with my wife or friends or go on a backpacking trip.
You guys do a backpacking trip every year, right?
Yeah, we've kind of had this tradition of going to the Sierras once or twice a year and just doing like a 4 or 5 night overnight backpacking trip at high altitude, and it's a lot of fun. It kind of brings you back to a simpler time where really all you have to worry about is kind of trudging forward, and you have everything you need on your back. And it's relaxing. Even though it's physically demanding, it's mentally and spiritually relaxing. Very cool.
Maddie?
Well, favorite venue I would have to say is probably Chantilly in Paris.
Yep.
I thought the venue is beautiful over there. I mean, it's right on the race course. They have the big the castle.
Horse stables.
The castle and the stables, and I mean, it's beautiful. Vacation spot. I mean, I haven't really done too many vacations in the last 3 or 4 years, but I'd have to say probably Bali.
There you go.
Yeah.
Great spot.
That's that's one of my top spots. As a matter of fact, I would say that my favorite vacation spot, which my whole vacationing lifestyle has taken a dramatic turn. But my favorite vacation,
because you stayed Sunday night in Vegas.
Because I stayed Sunday night in Vegas because I decided to take an extra long vacation, a night vacation in Vegas. My world has been changed. So my favorite so far that I think that I've been on, I'd have to say I loved. So we used to take trips. The two of us with Eric Crandall and Davey Williamson used to take a trip every single year to a new part of the world. We did South Africa together. We did South America together. Central America together. We did Japan and Thailand together.
Cambodia.
Oh, in Cambodia, yeah.
Yep.
We did Brazil.
Guatemala.
Yeah, we did Guatemala. That was actually just to get some.
Costa Rica and Panama.
Costa Rica, Panama, Argentina, Brazil, and Uruguay for 15 minutes. Paraguay for 15 minutes. Still got scared and had to get out of there. And then we did South Africa, Cape Town, Durban, and Johannesburg.
Yeah, South Africa was great too.
That was a lot of fun.
Great people there. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
And Gabon.
Oh, and then Yosh and I did Gabon.
Shout out to Gabon.
Yeah,
that was an awesome trip.
That was one of the coolest.
Fantastic people.
A really cool trip. Yeah, the Ocelos guys, this team from Central Africa. But I would have to say my favorite travel destination so far was up to the Mentawai Islands in Indonesia. I'm pretty stoked on Indonesia as a whole. I can see why Oliver has not come back from there. It's a very peaceful place. It's a very beautiful place. So if I could go obviously I want to go to practice, right? But if there were
Obviously.
a plane ticket for me waiting to go anywhere in the world, I would fly to the tiny island chain of the Mentawais.
Or if we could have practice there.
Yeah.
That would be even
As a matter of
better.
fact, we can.
Yeah.
We can, because I have a friend out there named Jimmy. He might be watching this. Who has a paintball field at a resort in Indonesia, directly
There you go.
across from Singapore. So, Jimmy, we need to set up a practice out there. Let's get the whole squad out to practice against your Octo squad.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. And then we'll go on a little surf trip afterwards, and we'll jump around. Japan was also one of the coolest places I've ever been, so I'm gonna put that as a close second. And I also went snowboarding out there, so it was like a double awesome whammy, a good whammy. And then venues were probably Huntington Beach. That was just such a cool environment, and I'm hoping that Huntington Beach comes back. I was actually just talking to a friend of mine who helps run stuff for the Dew Tour, right? And they're looking for possibly more exciting entertainment and activities to showcase out there.
Could be paintball.
It could be paintball.
Yeah.
So they're trying to whip up a little bit of a budget, hopefully that is that can resonate with Dew Tour people.
Awesome.
About maybe having 4 teams or 5, like something like that, 4 to 6 teams to play on one field, exhibition style, and then have it commentated and have it, probably have Matty out there commentating and make sure
He's
that
the best.
Yep, he's the best. And then have like a little open play for any of the patrons that are there that want to come and try out paintball for free.
Sounds awesome.
Yosh and I used to do that
Yeah.
out in what did we do, 45 cities? Well, we didn't do all 45 cities in 60 days or 90 days or something.
Something like that. Yeah, there was a big music festival tour, and we were able to basically set up a paintball arena at every single venue. With the help of other guys from the team and
local paintball fields.
Yeah, and it was an awesome thing. I mean, local paintball supported it, and anybody that was from the area that was attending the festival could come and play. And then they had a place to go also because there were local paintball employees there, and it was fun. I mean, people really had a great time, and it was fun for us to travel around and meet all the people. And
I mean, I think we exposed paintball to like several 100,000 people over the course of one summer in 2000.
I mean, some of the venues were 50 or 60,000 people venues.
Yeah,
so pretty huge.
Oh yeah, and I'm hoping to do something like that this summer again. Hopefully,
would be sweet.
So, favorite venues and favorite vacation spots. So, we're almost here at the field. Are there any last little thoughts? Anything that you guys forgot to say? Maddie, how much do you miss bread?
Not at all. Actually.
Not at all, huh?
Shout out to my mom though. What up? Love you, mom.
Oh yeah. Shout out to all the moms out there.
Yeah, all the paintball moms, paintball dads that support their kids, paintball uncles, paintball grandparents.
Yeah.
Whoever you are, you're a crucial part of it, and all the players. I mean, I think what we talked about at the beginning of this video about, working hard to support your passion, it's in your hands. So keep working hard.
And with that said, make sure, I know that my mom was a huge pivotal part of me being able to play paintball. She was not stoked on paintball whatsoever, but as long as I got good grades, so stay in school. Stay in school. As long as I get good grades and I did my chores, which were mow the lawn, feed the animals. We had a lot of animals. Good animals.
Do extra chores if you can.
Yeah, do extra chores. Keep your parents happy, because your parents most likely are helping to fund or facilitate or get you to the paintball field.
Oh, yeah.
So make sure you keep your parents happy in between all this other stuff, and definitely get good grades, because if you don't get good grades and the whole paintball thing doesn't work out, you might be working at a McDonald's. And while we do need McDonald's workers, you want to be working high up at the corporate office if you can. So stay in school, get good grades. That's my biggest thing. I don't know. That's what my mom always said.
Good note to end on.
Good note to end on. So, and also, Guys who want to see playing footage, I know that was one thing that someone wanted to say. They're like, hey, we want to watch you guys play. Unfortunately, I don't have a little cameraman. So sticking a camera on the dash and talking is a lot easier than getting anybody to film anything of worth. So if you want to watch any of our practice stuff, Ronnie Dizon will probably be out here today, and his Dizon docs will hopefully suffice any kind of. Oh boy, it's pretty wet out here.
Pretty wet.
So you can watch that if you want to watch playing footage, and I'll try to get a little bit of camera work going here today.
Make sure to catch us playing first game of the day, first game of the tournament in Vegas.
That's right.
7:20 in the morning.
7:20
Wake up early.
a.m. So
It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, if you're on the East Coast, you're stoked because that's 10:20 a.m. But everybody else, okay, everything's good. We're gonna park here. And we're gonna
We
get
just
to
got
it.
the thumbs up.
We got the thumbs up. All right, that was kind of scary. All right.